Welcome to my browser, Major Freak. So, CCP released, well, didn't release, they bothered to edit, curate, and upload, looks like all the player inputted presentations at, inputted, player presentations at EFest 23, which is, hopefully they continue that and make that the new tradition that you can actually see this stuff later. Oh, or at all, you know? I mean, they started broadcasting after Oz had done his presentation, right? So that was a hugely missed opportunity, and one that, you know, I'm sure made more than just me fear that, yeah, it was going to be another one of those, yeah, we're gonna put up what we feel like putting up, and that's it. So this is really cool. Hopefully more than one will be something other than the usual TED Talk of rich person gets up there and says how rich they are and gives unrelated, meaningless anecdotes, because, you know, they can. So, knock on wood, I'm very confident this is going to be cool. I mean, I hate markets and I hate industry, just not that type, but it might be actually interesting. I'm looking forward to watching that, and I'm not going to stream it. I'm shitty at reaction videos. You and I community, that's the NPE player submitted player-driven content of NPE, that, you know, kind of like a rival to EVE University. This game theory was during the keynote or the presentations by CCP, and it sucked. Yeah, you can make believe all you want. This is probably, I wonder if it's the security presentation at EVE. I'm not sure what they're talking about there, but this is probably a CCP presentation. This I'm interested in, basically because I've always been interested in, you know, stuff like Red Frog, Black Frog, and Red Frog stuff. It seems fascinating, and they seem to be profitable, so be interesting. And the evolution of audio. Gods, these evolution. Will they talk about the jukebox? Why they took it out? Will they talk about the crackling of the sound effects and the, you know, when CCP Bjorn was introduced to everybody as an official, and he was talking to the audio guys, and that was cool. I'm hoping they can address the why of that and why it's still a problem. A little bit of humility there, but it's just going to be Iceland beer. So, yeah, I have low hopes for that. Odin's Call Alliance actually was interesting. It was kind of cool. I don't know, the Alliance winners, and hopefully they talk about the Alliance win. That would be cool. And launch date at the history class. Oh God. Oh, please don't crow about Guiding Hand Social Club scam again. It was a well-planned... No, it wasn't. It was a random gank, and they took advantage of the fact that the guy was... It was during the age of Pi, of CVA just kind of forming and doing the RP and the roleplay, and he was kind of like a little wannabe kind of corporation of Memorian. You know, it was just a random target, and he got taken out because you can, not because of some Mysterious plan that took years. Right. No. So, and I'm not really interested in this. I'll watch it, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be another one of those I'm rich, here's my anecdotes, bye kind of thing. But I'll definitely watch it, and hopefully I'll be wrong. Yeah.
All right. Oh, it's on. Okay, good. Hello. So I'm excited to be here. How many people do market stuff? Okay. Okay, good. Good. Makes me a little less nervous. So my presentation is just what I've been doing for like the past 4 years. So I'm gonna get it started. So I wanted to define like what a tycoon is. The in-game definition is just managing large-scale market orders. Actual definition, wealthy, powerful person in business or industry. And then why am I a tycoon? Well, first, I got 5,500 market orders listed in 17 locations all over EVE. And I might be expanding soon for 18,300 market locations, or way much more. I get a little excessive. I just started making characters, and it just kept going. So I have a trillion ISK in open market orders, mainly funded through investors.
Shit.
And then 150, 200 billion in revenue each month, which I'm on track to actually be hitting over 200 billion per month now with some changes that I'm doing. And 1.96 trillion to date sold in all the regions in EVE. I think the last time I looked at it, this is old, this is like 1.6 trillion that I've sold so far this year. And my margin's right around like 40% on top of like that 1.6 trillion so far. And then my profits a month are like 60 billion a month, 451 billion when this was made. We're sitting almost at like 600 billion for the year, for the total year for my profits. And then I've done 319,000 market transactions to date this year. I'm doing essentially 2 transactions per minute, no matter what, 24 hours a day in the game. And then I've sold to 32,713 individual pilots all throughout EVE, so I'm helping the economy, I guess. So how it all started was I started running level 4 missions using Macarial. I needed more Tech 2 ammo. I'm sure everybody needed that. You know, hey, I got to open up the market. I got to look and I got to buy something because I'm doing something in EVE. So I opened up looking for some Quake and Tremor. Asked myself why, you know, in the past 20 years of EVE, is there still like none of this on the market, or it's a highly inflated price. So then I just said, you know, F it, I'm gonna make my own market, and that's how it all started. It's like if somebody's not gonna do it or hasn't done it, I'll just do it myself. So this is a picture of just Placid with the like Quake and Tremor, and this was taken like a month or 2 ago. So you can still see like Stackmon and Orbital. There's one other person selling the ammo. So even after 4 years of me doing this, I'm still like the only person selling the ammo that I need for my level 4 missions. So the beginning. So how I started out is I started running level 5 missions, saved up 25 billion ISK, and then I had to think up a persona, Eden Trade.
Yeah, basically what he's saying is, and I think this is going to be the core of the video, is like, if you spot an opening for you to do something, nobody's really going to move in, and like, it's not every system is Jita. You're not going to have instant competitors, or even after a long time, you're going to have competitors. He's basically saying, look, if you start up something that nobody else is doing, and it's been 20 years of the game, the chances of you having competition in that area are pretty low. Now, having said that, he will have competition because it's YouTube. So yeah, but maybe not. He won't. He will for a little bit until people get bored of it. Because yeah, I mean, I want to find out how many characters he has, how many accounts he has, and how many alpha accounts he's running. Is he willing to take a hit? Because, you know, he gets tax because he sells stuff to people. Is he willing to take that tax hit using alpha characters? And I'm pretty sure he is using alpha characters to do this. And how does he manage? How does he do the logging on? Does he use multiple laptops? Does he just log on? Like, how long does it take to log into the game and just do it? Because I do planetary in industry, and I can do one character's PI in 20 minutes. That's like 3 minutes per planet, right? Or approximately. I'm probably way off in the math, but close enough. Like, we're talking, you have to do a little bit of just to refresh things. You know, hit that, re-up I do it every 2 weeks, the re-up the PI thing. It takes me 3 minutes per, just, you know, just freaking do the old rigmarole. And now that he's got it set up, how much time does he have to spend in his game? Is he doing this? Is this all he does? Like, is he still running missions? Can he run missions? I mean, how has he streamlined it over the years? That would be interesting. Anyways, sorry.
It took me like 2 days of thinking hard, perfect character name, all that. And the ones that I wanted were taken, so. And then I decided to just buy a Fortizar and plopped it down in Stackmon. For some reason, nobody blew it up for 4 years until, you know, the goons came in like 2 months ago and killed it. Very upset about that. And then I picked Stackmon. The name was easy to say, so a lot of my locations that I choose were just easy system names to say. And then I created a massive, very massive, time-consuming spreadsheet of all the items I wanted to sell in Eve, which I hand copied.
Why would we want to sell Tech 1 stuff plus dropped items that are like, this stuff is totally crap? I mean, this is just ugh. Okay, so the highlighted in red he wants to do. Okay, good, thank God. Okay, so he wants to build this stuff, I'm assuming. Okay, so is he buying it from people? Or, like, he's buying it from Jita? Or is he building it? Capital Armor Repair 2. Why the hell is he doing that? I don't think this is the shopping list. But yeah, okay, so you go through and just go, okay, well, why did he? That's pretty ambitious. Wow, that's really ambitious. What's it take to make that? Capital Armor Repair 2, like, I have no idea. Give me a sec.
Connecting. active.
I've got a feeling this is the most expensive thing. So it just takes robotics? That's interesting. What are those? Those expensive? Probably. Doubled in price, almost. Okay, I think... Is that 10 times more expensive than robotics? Whoa. Holy scheiße. Whoa. What the hell is with robotics? That's... Oof. Okay. I'm assuming that's not very expensive. Okay. This is what I miss, being able to go onto the Eve markets or something. I forget the Eve market data or something, and you could look back to the beginning of time. It was great. You can see, oh yeah, I remember back in 2013 it was this much, right?
Copied and pasted these in 4 years ago, and then you can see I have like all the different places of Eve. It took me about a whole weekend, 20 hours to make this. So, sorry. We got to slow down because we're adjusting the market orders too fast. I just had to put that in there because, you know, when I have to update 15,000 market orders, it's and then I get 16 seconds because I'm going too fast in Eve. I don't know if anybody else has actually seen that. I've gotten it up to like 27 seconds I timed out for. So,
Yep. But we're interested in that. We're interested in the scale of that, not the... Oh god. I've got a feeling he's really not going to speak to that. Got a really awkward feeling he's going to be... But yeah. That's interesting, but I'll watch it later. Let's check out something else. I think this is CCP.
Okay. First of all, I'll say thanks for coming out. I was kind of nervous that there'd be nobody here for this talk, so I'm really, really happy that other people are interested in what I'm going to talk about here today. I was super nervous coming here, feeling like there'd be nobody in the room, so thanks for coming. Okay, how did I get here? So I was at FanFest last year. Talk a little bit more about that later. And there was a presentation during the main program about Eve Analytics, which was talking about some of the things that have happened in the game over its history. And they put this slide up at the beginning, and it turns out there were 5 people here last year that had characters created on the day that Eve was launched back in May 2003. You're one of them? Awesome. But you weren't here last year then? Yeah. So 5 characters that were created on day 1. And I saw my picture on there, and I was like, wow, it's kind of interesting. I felt like a minor celebrity. And I thought maybe I should come back and try and pitch a talk about how the game's changed over that 20-year period, and just reflect a little bit on my experience as a kind of a long-term player of Eve.
Yeah, I mean, my experience was 2004. A coworker got me helping protect his maulers mining because there were no mining barges. There was, you know, and they wanted to build a apocalypse. So I think it was the apocalypse, so they could mine in the apocalypse because that was the way it was back then. And I was like, ooh, bookmarks. When you warped to something, you dropped 15 kilometers away from where you warped to, but you could make bookmarks, and there was no deviation in the warp. So you could do pinpoint accuracy if you went 15 kilometers beyond your destination, in line, of course. You could get pinpoint accuracy. Like, to the point of being able to warp in, slowing down, but you're still going fast enough that you bumped somebody, and you could bump them so far. It was so, yeah, playing golf was awesome. Probe golf, just so awesome. Yeah, that was my life back then. Yeah. And flying around, I tried doing missions. I was so silly. I was trying to do missions using the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor had a missile bay, and I could fit an extra large missile, probably a cruise missile, I think, in there. No, it wasn't. There weren't sizes of missiles. There was just a missile launcher, and that had a certain size of ammo, and they just expected you to fire a whole bunch of them. But you could fit a cruise missile on a frigate and fire it, or something like that. It could have been a heavy missile or something. It might have been a heavy missile or a cruise missile, but I was firing cruise missiles at frigates, thinking this is the smartest thing ever. Yeah, it was pretty funny. Yeah, and I never figured out the whole, well, maybe you should just fit 2 micro warp drives on a ship and whip around the rats that way and do missions that way. I hadn't come to an understanding of that. Theory crafting back then was, Jesus, it wasn't even a thing. The stupid fits people had back then. Anyways, and unfortunately, when you go on Zkill and look back then, you get really weird fittings. It's just because things are so obsolete that the game doesn't know how to. It's not backwards compatible when you look at kill mills, unfortunately. Anyways.
I should say that in my real life jobs, I've given like hundreds and hundreds of talks over the years, and I'll dox myself at the end so you can like look me up. But I'm weirdly nervous about this one. I've never ever given a talk about a video game before, so it's my first time out, but I've given a lot of talks. Okay, what am I going to cover? This story is sort of in 5 chapters, really, 6 chapters maybe. So talk a little bit about my formative few months in the game and what I found. We'll talk about a couple of player organizations that I was in really early in EVE's life cycle, one of which is actually quite well known, which is Shinra. They actually did some interesting stuff at the beginning of the game. And then this minor corp that I'm sure nobody will ever heard of called DNA. But my experiences playing with those guys really had quite a big impact on how I went on to play the game for the rest of the time that I have done. Then talk a little bit about taking breaks and coming back to the game after actually pretty long periods of time. And then I'm in Shadow Cartel now. I've been in Shadow Cartel for quite a while. There's a few guys down here that I play with a lot. And I can't really do this talk without talking a little bit about low-sec life and kind of what it's like to operate in a corporation like that, an alliance like that, which I
Hello, fanfest. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Excellent news. Okay, first thing, any Odins in the crowd? I can't believe they let you through passport security, and honestly. So, this is going to be a little talk on the experiences of 8018, which was 2 80s ago, sadly. 1819 happened just a little bit too late, unfortunately, in the day for us to have a video about it. And obviously we came like 12th, so it was less good. So this is going to be about 2018, where we came second. So, I'm going to walk here, I can see the screen better. So we're just going to cover a couple of things. So again, first of all, me, OFOC team. I'm going to go into a little bit about sort of our preparation stages. So the monthly.
Oh fuck! It's hilarious.
Leading up to the tournament. The feeders, which if anyone does remember from 2 years ago, well, a year and a half ago, not stressful at all. I promise I didn't have any grey hairs. It was horrifying. Do you have any laser hawks, actually? Good, okay. So, then we go to the main tournament and the rest of it, as you can see. So one thing I will say is that part of this talk is going to be about things that I hope you guys could pick up from what we've done or from just the tournament in general and see how it can change the way you guys might play the game a little bit. So any of those I've got in purple. So hopefully, if there's a purple line, that's what we're going to talk about. So very quickly about me, I'm Aethel. I started playing in, officially my account was 2018, but I started in 2020. Was very lucky to have some rather fantastic people go and introduce me to the game. One of which most of you will probably know is Bay Art J. Anyone? Any hands for Bay? Anyone know Bay? Oh, I see we've got some of the EVNT guys down here, I think. So there was an alliance called Ministry of Inappropriate Footwork, affectionately called the Foot People by some other people, which is a bit weird. But no, they were a good bunch, and eventually they, post-COVID, died down a little bit, unfortunately. So that was where OFOC came in and gave me a home to live in. So, and again, there is two of the people that I credit with getting me into tournaments, which is Bay and Ensign. Ensign sadly can't be here. He lives miles away, which is his fault, really. Anyway, so a little bit of a meet the team. Unfortunately, I think from that year, there's not actually many of us here. There's some people who I know were in this recent team, but I think it might just be me. Oh, sorry, Toast, actually. Raise a hand, Toast. There we go. Was in 2018 as well. We had Yokan, our incredible, glorious leader, who is unbelievably French. We had generally the Odin's gang, which are a very good bunch, and then we had NC Dot's finest mercenaries. So Colonel Kurtz and his gang of merry men joined us and made our team much nicer, which was fantastic. We had a lot of our theory crafting was done by mostly Hoda. Hoda, we'll go with Hoda. And a guy called Paradigm, who's one of the Odin's guys, who were fantastic. Does anyone know Martin Conrad? Anyone? So I guess the Odins would know. There's some funny scenes from him later on, so we'll bring him out. And then, of course, Toast and Erd as well. He's here too. Two of our Logi pilots who saved our lives many times. Our CEO's never on, so he doesn't really get a mention. Exactly, yeah. So this is going to be, the first couple of slides here are going to be a bit of an overview of some of the preparations we took. So the main three things obviously being theory crafting, practice, and the logistics. So all of those need to be done beforehand if you want any chance of doing well, I'd say. And this is Hoda's character, and this is what he felt like probably by the end of the tournament. So, as it says on the tin there, it's one of those things that I think a lot of teams think they can get by with without putting a lot of time into. And it's really obvious when you practice or play against teams that just sort of go by the seat of their pants a little bit, or they just play what the people are playing without putting thought into it. And honestly, you got to do it beforehand. This is something it's really gonna hurt you if you don't. Some of the guys that are really into this, they will know every stat on every ship. They will know every module, everything you can imagine, every rule set, every minor change, and they will spend months of their life dedicating to working out these comps and working out these different things. So
I'm a really good theory crafter, or at least I think I'm a really good theory crafter. And of course, I've gotten years beyond just, the quote of a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Yeah, I used to think I was a really good theory crafter, but yeah. Theory crafting for an alliance is way different. Like, for me, if I want to do something in, say, mine in low sec by myself, it's always tuned to eventually my troubles occur when I'm, my group is left, they've gone to bed, I'm still out there mining. What do I do when somebody comes upon me? Or, wants some content and I'm in system and they're like, oh, who's this? And they eventually, you have to realize they will eventually know your comp, know your strategy, know how you're going to react to them. Are you going to counter that? And it's all, and plus, to do a real world example of that, how did I theory craft my Astra houses against what I was facing? And you only had a certain amount of Astra houses, and you had to learn quick. And watching my videos of how I reacted at first, it was like, oh my god, you knew. But of course it was a noob. Only judge somebody for what they knew at the time, not what they knew now. And it's just, you have a limited opportunity to learn, and you have to record your stuff. Otherwise you can't go, oh, I missed that. Oh, this is what I'm missing in my understanding. And taken further, my Griffin ECM team, the stagecoach idea, that failed horribly in the face of pulse guns that could hit out to 100 kilometers on frigates and insta-pop them without Tech 2 ammo. With Tech 2 ammo. Short range Tech 2 ammo. Yeah. It was just mental. But anyways, getting beyond that bullshit, it was okay. Until the Paladin showed up, it was, alright, they're reacting with this comp. It's probably just a BS comp they're just throwing out there to confuse the issue. What's their usual thing? Okay, usual people do usual things. What is it? What's the meta? You've got to realize that you're theory crafting against the meta. Don't try to theory craft against some kitchen sink Yahoo thing that is weird and might counter you. You go, what is the meta? Okay, the meta against Astra houses is Triglavians and Nestors. Or Triglavians and Guardians slash Onirises slash. And that's the meta. That is absolutely the meta. The pure meta is Drekavax, a big mass of Drekavax with Guardians on your Astra house. Done. Could be even Kikamoras. Kikamoras are great at nomming on fighters, but so are Drekavax. It's crazy how easy these ships can kill fighters. And that's the meta. And you theory craft against the meta to be annoying. That's what I did. What can my one-man little corporation with its multi-boxing do against a larger entity to leverage whatever I can? And that's the thing. It's just like, it's always based on what can I leverage? What mechanic can I leverage to give myself that little bit extra buffer of a tank, of whether it be speed or cloaking or anything, and what can I do to disrupt their operations, what they're trying to do. Can I get them annoyed at me enough that it becomes an issue to the point where I was getting to the experience level of I can actually run my Griffin team and run an Astra house, which don't try it out the gate. There are so many. It's an Astor House's mechanics of operating when you're trying to do fighters and guns is something completely otherworldly compared to anything else you ever do in a normal non-capital subcapital ship. It's a thing. It's tough. I don't know if anybody tries multi-boxing carriers, but I just bleh. Yeah, but that's the kind of thing you're trying to do. And can you leverage your little Griffin team, your multi-boxing little Griffin team, and make it smooth enough and easy enough for you to do that you have enough time to dick around with the buttons on an Astor House to give you that edge to kill something. And once you've broken their morale, they'll just find somebody else to blow up. High-Sec pirates are very vulnerable to morale. Like, they'll BS otherwise, but yeah. Of course, what will usually happen, they'll tuck their tail and run, acting all brave and stuff, and smacking local. They'll just hire Black Flag or somebody, or a bigger fish to come in and just wipe the floor with you, which it's a compliment, meaning you actually did something to protect yourself, which would have worked against a smaller person who couldn't hire Black Flag or anything like that. But yeah, that's the idea of being able to push back and react and compete in Eve. And that's what theory crafting is, to be able to leverage something critical that everybody else has dismissed, but you can leverage. And yeah, I mean, just look at that Tycoon talking about Masterclass. It is all about, it's just all about leveraging something that other people have overlooked, that you've spotted and go, well, probably just leverage this. And he did a lot of leveraging, a lot of heavy lifting, but it's like, yeah, that's what it takes. But it's doable. It's focusing on one thing and slowly incrementing that. Like, I started out with Griffins, and I discovered, what I had a concept of with my stagecoach, the core concept of, was speed tank at 100 kilometers, ECMing the usual meta. And there were battleships that you could get a decent amount of jamming on them, enough to panic, and this was the point, to panic a multi-boxer, because we all know that most of the high-sec Upwell destructors are just one-man little divisions of a pirate corp that go around blowing up stations because nobody else wants to be arsed with dealing with it. And or say a few of them, right? The vast majority are just multi-boxing. And they're just so used to just sitting there, multi-boxing, setting it up, and they can have their way with small-time people who just don't know what to do, or throw things kitchen sink at them, one after another. But they're not used to what happens when, there's a small chance, like say 25% chance maybe, of them having to retarget everything, their multi-boxing stuff, everything on one character, and they don't know which one's going to happen, but it's going to happen. In every 20 seconds, something's going to happen. And they're going to have to it puts stress on their multi-boxing, and that was my strategy. So you go with, I want to pressure the multi-boxing abilities of my enemy. How do I leverage that to make it easier for myself to do multi-boxing, so I can actually interact with my Upwell, which is a ton of work, micromanaging that. It's not fire and forget at all. It's a lot of work. So how to pressure that so I can potentially put pressure on a multi-boxer enough that they start panicking because they're not used to doing this, because they don't have enough practice interacting with somebody who's pushing back on them, to panic them into making mistakes, and then I can kill one of them. And once you kill one of them, they fold and flee. That's just experience. I'm not making this crap up. So yeah, you're dealing with what can I do to panic somebody, to pressure them, so they can start making mistakes, and then I can capitalize on it. And then what happened was they would throw something to destroy my guys, and I'd be like, oh, I didn't think of that. How can I counter that with my little Griffin team? Say Hecate, how can I counter that? Because I had my core concept was, okay, well, somebody is going to come after me. What's the fastest, if I'm going 3,000 meters per second, what can catch me? Okay, little frigates that are barely tanked. You have to, they're glass they're not even cannons, they're just really fast ships that whip out to you and try to scram you, web you, so the rest of the people can warp to you and get on a kill mill, right? Because that's all pirates are interested in, getting on kill mills. But I could kill that thing before it got close. With I used at first, I was using a I believe it was a Mollis. So I'd use a Mollis with my Griffins, and I call the Mollis my shotgun, and I call the ECM Griffins the stagecoach. You know, riding shotgun on a stagecoach, and that was to counter one aspect of what I assumed was going to be thrown at me, because that's what I had observed. And all of a sudden, Hecate was used. Just, you know, they just slap on. It was an easy convert, and it was a glass cannon. The Hecate fell to drones. It was crazy. In my practice sessions on Singularity's still down. It's been almost 4 months now. It's been down. But at the time, I had access to Singularity, and I was testing it, and I was practicing it, and I found that I could not sensor damp Hecate. Got on the internet. Give me a sec.
Hecate.
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 All right. Hecate. All right. So the Hecate was able to have such an insane amount of sensor boosting that my Mollis could not, because my Mollis was there not only to help, because I had a lot of drones to help kill the frigates that were coming at me, but I also expected them to have some kind of sniper battleship that I could, sitting with their group at 100 kilometers, and I'd be, okay, easy enough. I'll just target that with my Mollis and sensor damp it to the point it can't target me, and I'm able to operate freely without getting sniped. But they put a Hecate on there, and I was like, oh crap, I can't sensor damp this sucker. It's got insane target lock range. I need actually to get a crucifier. So I added a crucifier to the mix, and I called that the shotgun sits at the front, but there's a dicky seat at the back of the stagecoach, and a coach, should I say, a dicky seat. I called it a dicky seat. Great. So is just an evolving, okay, we need something to counter that, what we can do, and practicing helps, because people like, you know, okay, what's the counter to that? And at that moment, when I added the crucifier, that was when I knew I had a solid comp, because it pretty much covered all the bases that you could possibly cover with the ships we had. That was it. You had the Amarian, you had the Galente, and you had the Caldari. I didn't need them in Matter. It was, what are you going to use? Just, you did not need webbing or target painting at all. In high and low sec, you cannot drone bunny. There is apparently, you can drone, the rumor is you can drone bunny against war targets, which I don't believe is possible, but I'd very much like to test it on Singularity. I don't, it might be possible. The mechanics around drone bunnying, like, and this gets to the actual theory crafting, because you have to know, you gotta metagame it too. You're like, okay, well, that mechanic, drone bunnying, is interfered with in low and high sec by Crime Watch. It has to be Crime Watch. Like, okay, there's an interference, what's causing that? And you go, oh, it's Crime Watch. That's probably, we don't know for sure, but Crime Watch is Crime Watch 2.0, or maybe even 1.0, even 2, but Crime Watch 2.0, as it stands right now, interferes with proper drone bunny logistics against PvP. Sorry, I might have confused people by saying logistics, of the mechanics of it. The rigmarole of dealing with drone bunnying in high sec against PvP targets is literally impossible, but I'll definitely want to theory craft if you can do it against... See, this is the thing. It's like, can you leverage drone bunnying in order to give yourself the ability to take advantage of automating a certain process to help you, so you can spend more time on screen on your HUD dealing with other issues than simply micromanaging your little drones, right? And that frees you up and frees other people up, and it's cumulative. Like, if you can free somebody up from, say, anchoring on you by using the regroup mechanic in fleet as a fleet option to your whatever commander level is, they can hit regroup, and it's even hotkeyed now. You can regroup that and anchor people up on you. If you can free them from that, they can get they can put lead downrange faster and focus their attention from while in warp about, okay, all I have to do is do this X in the beginning, and then I can instantly switch to just focusing on targets. And it simplifies things, and it's the making things efficient. Okay, how can you make the ship? What fit can help you? What modules are obsolete once you, like, I had an initial, I got up to Mark 13. I had 13 iterations of the fit. As I moved from one thing to the another, realized that cruisers weren't going to cut it. That I needed to drop the idea of using Blackbirds and just go plainly with Griffins, because speed was king when you're doing ECM disruption operations. Using Blackbirds it's just a hopeless cause. Maybe in other situations than mine, but when you're dealing with a niche thing you're trying to do, you can't be going, oh, maybe I'll come in with Blackbirds one day, or maybe I'll try to switch it up and come in with Griffins. No, it's like you're going against an enemy who will counter you. And how can you counter their counter and get to a point where no matter what the enemy does, you've got a set of options, or you've got one singular option that will work against anything. And of course, in an alliance tournament, you've got people who can ban that certain ship, or you can't do this or that, and certain rules to it, so you have to have multiple of those. But I'm just basically talking about, we're at, like, hopefully giving some information about what theory crafting is. that whole, you've got to bring in metagaming. You've got to slowly iterate because you're never going to get it right the first time. It's all about practice. And go, oh right, forgot about that. Got to include, the Hecate. Oops, didn't take in that. I need actual, not just sensor dampening. I need tracking disruption as well. All that stuff in, and of course, remembering that if the enemy brings missiles, you're going to have to switch out nowadays because they've changed it. Nowadays, you can simply switch it out for missile dampening stuff, missile disrupting things, which is a whole different module, right? But you can do it, and you can have scripts now in your disruptors to take out optimal range and tracking speed. Right, the two different things. And of course, you can do the same thing for missile scripts too, and it's like very involved, but it just means you're just going to switch out some modules. That's it. And that's fascinating. The whole, okay, got a metagame because of the Can't Drone Bunny. What rules are doing that? It's because of Crime Watch, so that your understanding of that helps you understand, and might even, like, what about war decks? Can you Drone Bunny in a war against war targets? That's something I haven't to test, so it's just further testing them. I don't know everything, right? But it's fascinating. Want to test that. And then, of course, you've got your the main focus, does it work? Can it work? And of course, at the end of the day, the new meta, I didn't know why Black Flag were using paladins. It just didn't make any sense. But after I went up and lost my after houses months ago, I forget. But once I lost them to paladins, I was like, oh, that's why they use paladins, because it can snipe frigates at 100 kilometers going 3,000 meters per second. I'm like, there's this thing is, you field it, you can kill anything. So I'm like, oh, well, that's dumb. But it worked for them, and it was a hard counter to everything, and it works against everything. So it's like, oh, so I guess that's the new meta these days. Okay. But they are bling. But that's not the point. Nobody goes up and takes them out because there's no incentive to buy CCP to be in an anti-piracy group. There's none. But that's speaking to something else. Anyways, so that's interesting. But yeah, that's how things happen. That's how things progress, and it took me quite a few months to figure this out. But at first, you have to get good, and you need lots of practice. And it's great to have enemies attacking you because it's live fire practice, which is completely different than practicing on Singularity, because you're actually in combat and you can learn stuff so much. So yeah, learning about Upwell mechanics was so you really need to pay attention to when you're going to use those fighters, because like I said, the Trigs eat them for breakfast. So when they panic, that's when you pounce. And of course, they would pretend to panic to bring out my fighters because I wasn't launching them, right? So it's the counterplay. You just need to get to a point where you can go, it doesn't matter what they do, we have a counter for that. Or at least the comps we've got, or the comp I have, is a hard counter to everything because it's the best I can do. And that's all you can do, is the best you can do. You can't be perfect because the game's not going to let you.
Okay. One of the most important things that we did do was Yokan had a very specific role, not just as the captain. Our theory crafters would come up with awful comps. Honestly, absolutely terrible. And his job was basically just to say no, repeatedly, violently at times. sorry, the second one, we'll go into a bit more in the practice section, but the things you learn from practice partners are unbelievable. Some of our finest comps were ruthlessly borrowed from others, which I'm sure they graciously gave us some license for that. And I think one specifically, so this purple one I put in to really bring in, what it means for the rest of you, is dress to impress is just as true on TQ as it's in TD. If you go somewhere with the wrong fit, it's just over. It's just sad. You're just going to be crying. You're going to be sat there thinking, damn, I wish I had that longer range ship. I wish I had something that would do this job. I wish I had some capability in my fleet, and you don't have it, and it's too late by then. So putting some thought into that on TQ, I think, is very valuable as well. So that's supposed to be Thunderdome on fire with Martin. That's kind of how I felt. Thunderdome was on fire very often, unfortunately. Back in those days as well, some of you will have been on the Singularity test server as well. We used that while waiting for TD access. That was even more on fire, I'll say. But honestly, fantastic resource. I think nowadays you can request to create a TD account as kind of anyone, as long as the tournament cycle's ongoing. So I think, it gives you access to almost all ships, unlimited skill points, which is phenomenal.
Just to be clear, you've got Tranquility, you've got Singularity, and then there's Thunderdome. It's a different server. She's not. Maybe you guys are getting it, but I tend to think metaphorically a lot, and I thought she was just doing Thunderdome, as in this was the Thunderdome was her nickname for the practice place they did on Singularity. No, it's actually a server. I'd forgotten. But I'm sure you guys understood that. I'm just clueless.
And it just means you can practice with your practice partners. You don't have to worry about losing ships on TQ. You don't have to worry about people spying on you most of the time, amongst other things. So here is just like a little overview. So this is one of our screenshots. I've great.
Interesting. It's all those little things that you miss. Like when I was defending an Astor House one day, they came out with Kikomoras and a few frigates with names I've never heard of. I'd never heard of until then. And it took me... They hit a couple of my Astor Houses. It took me one session. And in between, I madly researched what the hell the ship was, and I realized... Oh, it was logistics that was repairing things, and I wasn't paying attention to it with my ECM. Oops. Yeah, stuff like that. Which irritates me about the new ships coming out. They're predictable. They have... It's a combat ship. It's like, oh, it's a thing. Like... Trying to learn all, like, to me, when I was first scouting for things, like back in 2008, 2012, like, my understanding of PBV was shite. All I knew were Iterons and, oh, there's a pirate. That was it. To be able to look at names of ships and instantly know, okay, that's a destroyer, that's a cruiser, that's a cruiser, that's a cruiser, that's a destroyer, that's a cruiser, that's a frigate, and these are two battleships, and I can go, oh, okay, that's a weird thing to see on Tranquility, right? But makes sense for Alliance, but you can go, oh, okay, it looks like a mixed bag of ships. There's 10 ships on D-scan, they're warping in, I don't know what the hell they're up to, but at least I'm able to visualize, okay, it's a mixed bag of battleships, cruisers, and frigates, kind of spread out, and I don't know how the hell that's going to help FC understand what the hell is going down, but yeah, to be able to look at Yeah, like this is an heavy assault ship. This is Edencom. Got one logistics, right? And then this is a heavy assault. Hugin? Is Hugin the... No, it's the... I think it's the... Like, Rapier's the covert ops cruiser, right? I think. It's been a while. I haven't played the game for a while. But the min matters I'm a bit fudgy on. I haven't quite, but I do know, you see min matter, you go, oh, projectile, right? But I think that's the heavy assault version. Give me a sec. Oop. Again. Oh, okay, it's a combat recon ship. Okay. And the other one's is the force recon ship? Yeah. The other one's the force recon ship. Okay. What is... Crap. Now I'm curious about the actual heavy. I'm gonna kick myself as soon as I see it, because of course I should know that. The Munin. Okay, yeah. I get the two confused all the time. And that's the thing, right? Being able to understand what the hell you're looking at. Yeah. But for most of us, I think when we're new to the game and we're trying to get into PvP, it's just a mess of, oh, there's ships coming at us. You know, that's not really helpful scout-wise, but it's like, you know, sometimes when you are new, all you can do is help scout, because you're gonna die anyways, and you're in a crappy ship. How can you best help the team? By scouting. And it looks like just a word salad at first. You know, I don't know what is warping in. I have no idea. Especially when you're seeing it on D-Scan, you don't really get the type icons when you're looking on D-Scan. So, thank God for third-party websites, right? But you learn really quick.
Graciously bleed out the name of the other team there to protect their privacy. And this is kind of the way that we record a lot of these practices. Google Sheets is not the perfect way, but it is a way, and it's one that we did. I mean, it's kind of does what it says in the tin, right? Practice makes perfect. If you go out with a ship on TQ and you lose it, does that mean that you and that ship are always terrible? It might take you 100 times to go out and do that thing before you're actually good enough to not lose your ship. And you're only going to get there if you lose your ship 100 times. Well, maybe not 100 times, that's a bit excessive, but, you know, for the people especially, if anyone's kind of afraid of doing things like nano or something like that, there's so many cheap ships you can get out and just go out and try and find content and die. And before you know it, you know, half a month later, 2 months later, you're actually starting to do some pretty amazing things, and you're getting all those really impressive Z-kill bold links, which everyone loves. So we've got this data is king at the bottom point. This is one of the most pivotal things that we had, especially in 1819, I will say. The amount of stuff that we recorded was ridiculous. And I imagine it's very similar for the teams as well. Endless sheets. Honestly, managing the spreadsheets was probably a 2-person job, I think, just to manage them. But it's so true, and it's true for TQ as well. You know, if you're constantly fighting some group for some solve somewhere, mark down what they bring. Go and record what ships they've got. All the rest of it, you know. Where do they normally go to? Like, if you warp into a system, someone warps away, what structures do they normally go to? Save it, make sure you know, because next time, you'll get them. So this is... Ooh. Okay, there we go. Kurt's nearly died, honestly. We had to call an ambulance 4 times. He's actually not here today because he died of logistics. That's what happened. It's honestly really hard work. So this last tournament, I did logistics with Kurt's as well. We spent a lot of ISK on lots of things, and it's really hard. It's really hard to do for the tournament. I mean, we all have this burden every time we play the game, especially so we're a wormhole co-op, so we have perhaps a slightly even more painful burden. I think if you don't pay the respect it deserves, you end...
Yeah, and at this point, this is beyond my pay grade, so I'll respectfully back out and check something else. Yeah, love that kind of talk, because it's like, oh, cool, but it's like, you're like, wow, kind of stuff. To the level of, watching that tycoon talk about, all those market orders he's doing. It's like, all right, let's just, I want to save Oz for last. These guys are obviously CCP, right?
Shaping the soundscapes of Eve for your oral consumption over the past 20 years. I want to stress that this is not an open panel, but is more of a moderated discussion. Think of it as a talk show of sorts.
Yeah, we had the Havoc panel, guys. There was no nothing at the end of that. There was no nothing during the beginning of that. There was no nothing during the middle of that. It wasn't a panel, so we don't believe there's anything useful out of you at all. Goodbye. It's just like, Jesus. Yeah, when they're jamming in the beginning, you're like, yeah, they got nothing. Sorry. There's jukebox. Yeah, these guys probably have never been around during the jukebox days, and if they were, they're gonna be, I'm not interested in listening to that, to get a glimmer of understanding of why things are so bad in Eve's soundscape. Why did it take them forever to figure out that there was a sound in the game that was repeating itself, and it was a Edencom gun? Why weren't the sound guys playing the game, going by these things, going, oh, why did this sound, why do I keep hearing this sound? Because they knew all the sounds in the game and what each sound was. To us, to me, it took forever to figure out it was the Edencom gun, but as soon as we did, and we embarrassed the hell out of CCP, it got fixed. That's the only way things change. If you don't get to that point, they're gonna bullshit you. Their community managers will come around and bullshit you. Their devs will come around and bullshit you. Oh yeah, we're working hard. Next patch we'll have a hotfix for it. Totally. And it just never happened because they were just bullshitting you. They didn't care. They literally did not care. Because guess what? You didn't get those 30 likes, so that doctor isn't going to save the patient. Sorry. That's how they think. Remember, I've said this a few times before in the past. Probably many times, they had an option on the forum to only see the posts with high amount of likes, and I think that's how the devs read the forums, literally. Then once I pointed that out, guess what? Within a week, it was gone. Just gone. The option was just hidden from us, not to them, but hidden to us. We couldn't. Yeah. Ugh. And I think this is just... I'm not going to watch this. It's just, hi, this is FanFest. We're just talking about how cool things are and friendship, the friendship. Yeah, keynote we were seeing, Smashing Taylor, Stargate's breaking. Tournament final day. I'm sorry. 5 hours, really? Wow.
warriors of legend. Hallowed and venerated among the stars themselves. For those bold enough to join this gladiator's pantheon, this gallery of champions, there is only one rule that matters. Winner stays on.
So when did Odin's Call win the tournament? Was that last year? I'm confused. Huh? Okay, so it was last year's? Oh, okay. Yeah, teach me to not pay attention. Okay, fair enough. Sure. Who's the comment? This is why I hate Alliance tournaments. The camera work and the commentators. The camera work is shit. The commentators are, oh look, that blew up, and then they talk about that, and it's like, dude, that's not not why people watch, like, say, Loco. We don't watch Loco because he guesses what's going to happen. He's right most of the time, and when he's wrong, he analyzes why didn't they do that, and he spots things that are happening at the moment they're about to happen, and even anticipates why are they not doing this? This must be because of this. And he anticipates this and fills the air with commentary that's intelligent, not, oh, look, that blew up, dude. And it's like, oh, shoot me now. You're not learning anything from that. There were a few really good commentators in the past.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the arena. I am here to...
What the hell?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the arena. I am here to bring you an incredible...
Is truth, honor, light.
I think it's truth, honor, light. This might be...
Wait. Okay. This guy drives me up the wall. Dislike this guy. I think I like this guy because he's a good commentator, but the rest of them are just freaking horrible. And you know, it's a dumbing down thing. But yeah. Is it Jintan? That's how you... Yeah, Jintan. This is the guy who I liked commentating. He was great. But yeah. Anyways. When's the last time Jintan's made any videos? Yeah, like a while ago. Oh, okay, 6 months ago. Alright, anyways. are we? I think we've gone through all of them. Panel. Screw off.
Hi guys. How y'all doing?
All right, last one.
Mic check, mic check. That's good. At least somebody showed up for the spreadsheet class. I was kind of worried. Last year I named the presentation "Trust Trading in Trillions," which was a little bit more sensational, trying to pulling people into the trading side of EVE Online. This year it's just hardcore spreadsheet masterclass, right? If you're here, then you're a typical EVE player probably. But you're locked in. Now you can't leave, and I'm going to take advantage of you. Some of you may know who I am. I'm Oz. I've been playing EVE since 2004, and I'm just really heavily into markets and trading. That's what I've been doing since 2004. Just building spreadsheets, trying to dominate the market, learning the game of EVE Online with the goal in mind to then profit from it in the market. Right? And there's some other people out there doing that. You might have seen Eden Trade's presentation earlier, one of the more extreme examples of that. But in 2019, I started then streaming it. And so I started switching that entire game around, because starting in 2019, I started not hiding all the secrets for myself, but letting everyone in on the secrets and talking about them and building spreadsheets and essentially teaching other people to trade in EVE Online. I also run other things on Twitch, like the Oz Tank. I hope a lot of you have seen that. That's the Shark Tank, but for EVE Online, where Eden Trade and me and some other EVE trillions.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could say to this is that if you hide your secrets, there's no community. And not only am I speaking to myself, to EVE players, to other MMO players, but specifically to CCP, who hide their metrics, who hide their secrets, who every time we accuse them of hiding their secrets, they'll come up with like Mobile Observatory, for example. Oh, it's so simple. Here's the documentation. It's very easy. Blah blah blah. And you're like, that is the rule. That's the exception that proves the rule of CCP. Just not only hiding their secrets, but when people make content, player content, to reveal this kind of mechanic that's going on, they'll simply change the rules to hide it again, or they'll just snip it out of existence. When you point out something of the game, yeah, it's pretty incredible. That's what I want to speak to. Otherwise, get way beyond my pay grade. So, be fascinated to watch it later. But yeah, that's the talks that you should pay attention to. I don't think, did they have the schedule for? Are we missing anything? I don't think so. We might one or two. I don't know. FanFest 2023 schedule there. Megablog, is that going to show us? I think the Megablog might. Let's see if I can trust that they'll show the schedule. Yeah, that James Webb Telescope thing was kind of cool. The Discovery Project was kind of cool. That was neat. I'd be interested in seeing that. Unfortunately, I guess we didn't. I think this is the official live stream, so I probably could have seen it. Hopefully the live stream, I'll be able to check that out on Twitch maybe. EVE Online's place in the MMO multiverse. Hopefully that's a third party talking and not CCP crowing about how they're the trendiest thing going. Real life skill trading. Skill training. Real life skill training with what? Okay, I might be interested in that. that was on the live stream. I didn't pay attention to apparently. Okay, so that was it. We've seen that. Okay, great. Beyond Pixels. Okay, great. Okay. Thursday. Saturday. Main. Okay. Space structures. Ah, right, the space structures. There's the space structure. One more thing, right? One more. Ah, there we go. Okay, sorry, not the last one.
Coming on to the importance of
okay,
calling,
so
why
great.
I feel
That's
that,
it.
It is something that moves everything, and it plays a very important part in our whole economy. And everything that a player does, everything that we are able to accomplish, is because there's some bit of hauling involved, whether it is you moving your own stuff, someone moving your stuff, alliances moving their fleet, everything, right? Even ganking happens because we move their stuff. So, we are ridiculous. So yeah, now coming on to types of haulers. I have divided them into 3 types of haulers. One is what the if you were present in the Oz's presentation,
they are the regional trader or trader haulers. These are the people who are moving stuff from one region to another, trying to figure out which regions make better profits for them. And to increase their margins, they basically move their own stuff. Yeah. And then second, we have industrial haulers. So if you saw the data set that the last CCP data team was sharing, Dell has a lot of movement of freighters and docking. So I think primarily that is because these are the haulers who are moving their production materials from one citadel to another. And that can be accomplished in freighters. So that can, so these are the people who are moving their own stuff from one production cycle to next, intermediate materials or whatever. And they fall into this industrial hauler category. And the finals are the professional haulers or the courier contract haulers, which we are, or which I am. So we basically cut across both of these play styles. If regional haulers feel that they can, take a dip in their margins for the safety that someone else taking the risk will provide, then they will use us, or they are basically people who will move anything for some ISK. Yeah. So they carry the highest risk, and they carry all the risk, and that's why they are rewarded for that. So yeah, this is. So I think it's self-explanatory, but okay. What New Eden feels we do, we are these spaceship cargo haulers moving stuff from one place to another like a ship captain. What gankers feel we do, we just autopilot, or we have bots, or half of us are bots. What we think we do, so we think we are the Han Solo moving through this. Moving through the treacherous New Eden, evading pirates, evading gankers, and then getting the stuff to where they are needed. What we actually do is we just watch Netflix on the other screen. So yeah, that's what we do. So now coming on to the main topic, how do you become a hauler? So maybe there is something that you find it interesting or you want to get into it. And these are the requirements that I feel are basic requirements to get into hauling. First is you need minimum of 2 accounts. I say that because it is EVE. If you use your hauler to move your stuff, you are going to get killed. So you need 2 accounts. The one will be your hidden one who accepts the contract, and the other one who actually moves the contract. So you subcontract it to your other pilot, so nobody knows who is your real freighter alt. Yeah, that's why you need two. And the second one is that your the one who accepts the contract can also scout ahead, and scouting is very important because ganking. And yeah, any ship type. So can be a hauling ship if you look at it, right? It can be Sunesis, which is a really good destroyer, which has the biggest cargo capacity, very versatile ship, and can be used for hauling in a way, but don't use it. And then, yeah, any ship which has an M3 can be moved, can be a hauling ship, but then there are specific hauling ships made in EVE which provide larger cargo capacities for the stuff which are big, and we'll get into that in a bit. And then collateral, you need collateral to cover the amount. If you're moving someone else's good, collateral is something that you will need so that you can cover the ISK or the risk from the person you are accepting the contract from. This can start from anywhere. If you're public hauling, it can start from, say, 10 million, 15 million, and go up to 300 billion for a gang contract. And then train the skills that matter for hauling. So there are very few skills that can help you move faster. So these will be your agility skills, your tanking skills, depending on the ship type you use. It can be shield tank or armor tank. Fuel and range, this is specifically for jump freighting. So if you are using...
All right, so my question is what's the benefit of, like, for me it's Galente, hauling Galente, but what about the better agility of the min matter, not Wreath, but one of my guys just got trained into it. It's the Prowler? It's the Prowler? Now this is the thing about playing EVE for so long, you just know the name of it. Well, except for the Hugin and Munin. Haulers, industrial, advanced haulers, transport ships, min matter, Prowler. Okay, got it right. Yeah, I mean, is this more nimble? Oh my god, my brain doesn't work. I think it's at the bottom. Where is it? Sorry, at the top. Yeah. Is that more nimble than the Biter? Right? Slightly. Like, how fast is it going to war compared to the Biter? Six versus... That's hilarious. So it's not. I just thought it was. Wait a minute, why? I think the reason I like the Prowler is because not only the shield, but the speed. I think that was the thing. Because you end up with multiple accounts. These are my shuttles. This is what I basically shuttle around in. This is what the ship I do when I'm just moving, like empty cargo, just to get somewhere, because I can cloak. Because I can cloak, and it's fast. I mean, why would I get a shuttle or a Corvette to move around when I can just use this? And it's most people, but because gankers will gank you automatically. I'm sorry. Did I just what? Let's see. My main hauler character is blind right now. Give me a sec. This one. Let's go in here. I constantly am going around in this ship because I've got a hauler character, I've got a booster character, command character, and I've got 4 miners, basically.
Skill training completed.
And of course, those 4 miners are also my 4 combat characters. Go in here. I think interactions, kill rates, show kills, show losses. Alright. So I've lost a Vider in Amazon. Yeah, that was amazing. They were so quick. I was really good at cloaking up too, but yeah, sensor boosting and all that stuff, yeah, bam, got me. But yeah, that was a year ago. And it took, check this out, it took like, this is back in 21. So this is, yeah, it doesn't happen a lot. And you have to be damn fast and good at locking me down. As soon as you, if you can target me, which is really hard, they must be living next to the server. But yeah, yes, it happens. It absolutely does happen. But it's not, these are, you know, this is where they can get away with it, right? This is not happening. You're not, what we're looking for is, oh, how many, he probably gets ganked in high sec all the time. No, you don't. You do it smart. I don't warp to station. I warp to a bookmark that is on the station. I insta warp away from station when I'm undocking every single time. Just do it how I have it. Just get into the habit of just doing it every single time. It's what you do. Every time you go to market, that's what you do. And it's unchanging. Just never not do it. Just get in the habit of doing it. It's just the thing to do. And yeah, so. But yeah, the Prowler for the shield and the speed, and I don't really care about the cargo hold, because if I really need to carry a whole bunch of stuff, I can use another cargo holder. Like if I really need to do that, I've done it where I've hauled a whole bunch of stuff using all 6 accounts, hauling in Viders. But yeah, just to get around, whip around to high sec, yeah, I'll definitely use the Prowler from now on. I just haven't been arsed to buy it yet. When did I train it? No, it's they still have history for skills in here. And when you see this, all you have to do is like this, like that, and that should, there, populate it. Yeah, it's just refreshing the memory of it, and then you can find, okay, so Min-Matter Hauler, good God. That was over almost a year ago. Almost exactly a year ago, Jesus. So I've got 2 weeks to buy this, or I'm going to feel really silly for not, wow, a year. Oh my God. That's hilarious. Yeah, I just haven't been arsed yet. Yeah, whatever. You know. It's like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? That's definitely not my motto. Anyways.
You need JDC jump drive calibration 5 to be most effective. And the other jump fuel conservation or jump freighter skills to optimize how much fuel you are consuming so that you don't get stranded in a null sec system. And then speed. So there are few skills that increase your subwarp velocity, and they also come in handy. So if you have trained these skills, then you are on your path to, you can start hauling in a way. Now coming on to public versus private hauling, this is something that is an everlasting debate that keeps on going. So CCP data team was kind enough to provide some data on this as well to us to see how much it actually is there. So I'll just delve into it. So if you look at the distribution of courier contracts, you will see that private contracts make up 3 times the So this data set is for past 6 months, by the way. So from January to June 2023. Private contracts make up almost 3 times the number of public contracts that are out there across all sex status. And that is contrary to the popular belief that public contracts are widely used. When I saw this data, I was surprised as well. And if you start breaking this down a bit, you will see that private contract distribution, how does it look like across sex statuses? It can also give you a view into how accessible something is for EVE players, which can affect this distribution. So if you look at this, HiSec makes up 63% of all the private courier contracts being generated. 32% is nullsec, and then a very tiny bit in lowsec, which didn't show up because pie chart. This is origin. Origin, yeah. Yeah, so HiSec and nullsec make up the bulk of the private courier contracts that are there. Nullsec, in a way, it is. I mean, it can explain by the fact that a lot of these big, huge alliances that you guys are part of have their own freight services that go from their region to the market hubs, and that is and since you can control the access of who docks in the stations and everything, it is their own folks who are doing the courier contracts, so it can make up a lot of private contracts. We are not able to decipher why private contracts and HiSec is such a big part of it. If you look at the public contract distribution, it is 92% of all the contracts being generated in HiSec.
See, the reason HiSec contracts, this is the funny thing. The reason to do HiSec courier contracts is because you can package something in a courier contract that's in a container, and if you courier contract that package, that container in the courier contract, you will not be able to ship scan that. All you will see is a container, and if you fill your hold up with crap plus that container, just random crap plus a container, it will look innocuous. The pirates say that they will gank anything with a container in it just because it must be valuable. I believe that the meta, and I'm just guessing here, I could be totally wrong here, that the meta is, if you're in HiSec and you want to get something to somewhere, you're going to get a courier contract for your alt, put it in that container, and then it's safe from scanning. To me, I just don't do that because A, it's a lot of work, and B, when I have something very valuable, I'm going to use viters. And if it's really big, I don't really have really big things to haul. Like, I'm not doing freighter worth kind of stuff here. If it's really expensive, it's probably going to be a ship, and I'll just go to market and fly it out. But yeah, that's what I'm guessing most of this stuff happens, is because people believe that the contract is going to be hidden. Maybe they're not aware that pirates know about this, and maybe it's just a meta, and that, well, the pirates aren't sharing information about this. And it's difficult to, it's not like you can go, it's not like you can, well, how big are these contracts too? I mean, are they whipping around in Synesis using Courier contract stuff hidden inside a container, right? So standard cargo container? What's it called? Standard cargo. I think it's standard cargo? Yeah, I know, right? After how many years, I still can't. Standard. Why did they put it on this side? It's just bananas. Structures. Oh, right. So, large standard container. Large standard container. Hello. So you can't search for them on here. And it won't show up in... See, what it'll do is, yes, you can gank it, but it won't show up in how expensive it is, unfortunately. I used to be able to search for this. I don't remember... Was it a secure container? Yeah, it's going to be impossible to find. Yeah, mostly, if it's in a can, like how I used to haul, like years and years ago, back in 2008 and before, I would use Iteron, pack it full of cargo cans, cargo expanders, and then use giant secure containers in order to make the volume I could haul even bigger. And maybe noobs still do that, but it might be the case that there are so many alternatives to that people don't try to like if you're hauling a lot. I was only a singular, I was playing solo, right? So I really had to leverage my one ship. But nowadays, if I need a bigger size, I just add another hauler to the mix, you know? But yeah, if that was the case, say if that was the case, let's say you had this guy. Let's say this is all packed full and you had all this, but all this stuff was in containers, like giant secure containers. You would not see in the kill mail the giant, or would you? I forget. I think you would, actually. Or do you? I think the only time you see, you'll see the only time you will see a cargo can is if it's repackaged, right? You'll only see it when it's repackaged. When it's assembled, you won't see it on the kill mail nor the scan. It just doesn't recognize it. So this could all be in giant cans. You just don't see the the assembled can. You'll see the repackaged can, and you will see one that is in a courier contract, because that's all you can see. I'm confused now. I'm damn sure I've got a video on it. Give me a sec.
Now, coming on to the importance of hauling, why I feel that it is something that moves everything.
Container? I'm just looking for one of three, right? Okay.
Freak, and we're gonna run down the rather tricky method of getting over 2 billion to JITA. You can just say plug it into your, this is level 4 skill. It doesn't have any cargo expanders installed, as you can see. As I get close to JITA, or through the 0.5s, probably Udema, right here, I'll stop beforehand and switch out for my reinforced bulkheads. I've got a ship scanner waiting outside, so I'll show you what usually happens. So you've plugged all that in, and you undock, and you're on your way, and you're going through gates, and some ship will scan you. And I'll turn off this one's sounds completely. So stop this as quick as possible. There we go. Alright. Now then. Probably still invulnerable. No, there we go. Okay, so locked. And I'm gonna click that. I'm gonna turn the sound volume to maximum. Let's see what we've got here. Yeah, we've got advanced, but we're gonna click this off and we're gonna do the max. And okay, and we're gonna see if we can hear that sound of the ship scan. So you can hear that. All right. So cargo scanners automatically detect everything, unlike ship scanners. Cargo scanners will scan everything, and you'll get automatic detection of 99.9% of things, and you'd be surprised what doesn't come up. So we're going to dock up again.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
We're going to hand over the enormous freight container. That unpackaged will give you 250,000 cargo space inside the freight container. Normal cans like giant secures won't fit into a freighter. Now if you take that and I undock, it will be scannable since it's repackaged. Okay, and target. And scan. That should come up. Let's try that again. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it won't show up. Okay, it doesn't show up. That's the one thing that doesn't show up. But so I was wrong about that. It won't show up repackaged, but if it's assembled, it should potentially show up. I have a sneaking suspicion it doesn't. Alright, so plug that in, undock. I've got a sneaking suspicion. My test a long time ago on this subject showed me that it would only show up under a certain condition. Alright, turn it on. Okay. And see, you don't see it at all. So that's not visible. So we'll dock them up again. Oops.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
And as people might not know, let's get rid of that, that. There we go. All right. So I'll put that inside, undock. Now, what people might not know is that the cargo can won't protect it from being scanned. And I believe my previous test showed it that you would not see the can, you just see the contents. Voila. See? Nothing. So you'd see the contents, items in container, yada yada. Pretty sure that's standard in any ship cargo scan. There we go. Now there is a trick. And there is one special situation where you will see this come up in a cargo scanner. It is when
yeah, I have to give it to my other guy who puts in a courier contract, and then I get it. But that's, I'll have to whip through it, so I'm going to mute it and... Okay, there we go.
To haul it. And we'll put that in here, and then I will undock. Now I believe you can, instead of just contracting that, you can do a courier contract on top of the contract shipping container, and I believe you'll only see the wrapping paper, which I believe a lot of pirates will know about. And it's usually, obviously, if you go to that length of trouble, it's probably a good bet. It's worthwhile blowing up.
I think I was just speculating at that point. I'm not sure you can do that. I haven't tried that. Really should keep the stuff I'm testing, especially at the beginning of this, when I was looking for this video. I was talking to you guys about, oh yeah, totally, it'll show up at other points, like if it's repackaged, you could totally see it on ship scan. No, you won't. And not only that, it won't even count on Z-kill. So you won't see if somebody smartly shoves. You see a mess of stuff in cargo all the time, right? You know, oh my God, how can you do that? Please put it in cargo cans. It'll never show up on cargo scans or Z-kill. Cans just won't, unless the one time you do see it, when you see it in a can or listed in a can, you will know it's being courier contracted.
There you go again. Rather subtle sound, isn't it? Okay. So there we go. And you only get that. You don't see anything inside of it. So it's a good way to fool people into thinking, oh, there's nothing worth blowing.
And I suspect, having watched this video and relearning, thanks to myself, where's the video? Where's the video?
Now, coming on to the importance of hauling, why?
So, when he says, I have no clue about why high-sec contracts, and he just goes on to the next subject, I suspect he knows very well what might be going on. He just doesn't want to talk about it, which is weird, because if it's being done so much and nobody's talking about it, the pirates obviously know what the hell's going on, right? They obviously know it's being done a lot, but see, it's the school of fish thought. The more, that's why fish go around in schools of fish, because it's safety in numbers. If we realize,
I feel
since you can control the access of who docks in the stations and everything, it is their own folks who are doing the courier contracts, so it can make up a lot of private contracts. We are not able to decipher why private contracts and high-sec is such a big part of it.
I think he knows. He's can't be a hauler without knowing the meta. And if everybody else is doing it, it's impossible for this guy not to know. So pretending not to know is silly, because if you tell people about it and more people do it, then it becomes safety in numbers. And that's the thing. If you promote something, and I think this is why he's not talking about it at FanFest, because if you talk about something and you let something be known and you point to this and go, everybody's doing it, let's do it more. See, it pisses off the pirates, because no, Z-kill, if you gank something that has that container in it and only showing the container, it's not showing how much you just, because if that thing drops, and it will 50% of the time, you get that, but you won't see it on Z-kill. And Z-kill is the only thing gankers care about, preening on Z-kill. So lowering their success rate by lowering their IS value of what they kill is certain to tick them off. So I'm sure he's doing this not to make himself a target, which is understandable. So yeah, that's why. Long-winded.
If you look at the public contract distribution, it is 92% of all the contracts being generated in HiSec is basically public contract. So yeah, so this is because, I mean, this can be explained that for haulers, if you see, HiSec is the most accessible place. You can go anywhere you want, and that is why it shows that 92% of those contracts that are there are really accessible to a lot of haulers. But if you start moving to low sec, which is still again accessible, but it is a bit harder to get into, it makes up a small percentage of it, and then it completely dies off in null sec. So yeah, public hauling is more predominant in HiSec, if you can say that. Choosing the right hauling ship. So once you have decided you want to either go with private hauling or public hauling, you want to choose the right ship type. Yeah. So this is my cheat sheet that I'll not go through each of these, but I'll just quickly tell you that. Oops, sorry. I'll just quickly tell you. Interceptor destroyers are a good starting ship if you want to try hauling. They are low tank, very low tank. They can be smart bombed on your way from going through Amazon. Worst system. Cargo value they can carry is really high. A lot of people use, move their BPCs and BPOs in interceptors or Sunesis. And it is really safe ship, but if it is in HiSec, it is really safe in a way. Cargo capacity is limited, so if you see, Sunesis has the highest one, that is 600 M3, whereas if you use interceptors, you get 150 M3, which is very less. Speed, very high, so when I talk about speed, it is basically moving from point A to point B. They can move at very high velocities. Blockade runners are a bit upgrade or a starting level safest ships to move high value cargo. And then deep space transport is again, or DSTs again are very good ships. If you so they have a limited cargo value, because you don't want to carry a lot of stuff into low sec or a null sec system. I do have the destruction data for all of these, so we'll just go through all of these quickly, how safe they can be in a specific system.
Yeah, I actually don't think he's going to talk about why he likes the Prowler. I'd like to hope he's going to do that, but yeah, I mean, definitely it's worth a watch for sure. I'll definitely watch all of it later. But yeah, cutting this short. I got to do stuff. The wife's ootin' a boot. All right. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, and I think that covers most of what happened at FanFest, which is awesome. So dig in, enjoy. It's players talking to players. What it should be all about. Right?